Good evening, everyone. Welcome to DOdaily Thursday Thoughts. It's Daz here. For this week's live questions, of course, viewer questions, things that you've posed to me. Pleased to say, tonight's episode is going to take on a little bit of a theme. If you've not watched DOdaily or been on a different planet for the last week or so, all I've been talking about is the London Marathon. Lots of excitement, lots of concern as well going into that. Come to that shortly, but lots of the questions today also are centered around this weekend's London Marathon, the showpiece event for all us runners, all us who like to get out and pound the pavements. It's the big one. It's the FA Cup final, or I don't know, whatever you call it. I like my football too, so I won't quite compare it to that, but it's definitely the one we always look forward to on the race calendar. So on the television, always a great watch, even before I was into my running. And there was a point when I was definitely not into it. Always enjoyed the London Marathon on the Sunday morning. You know, that iconic theme tune, watching people run around the Cutty Sark, always a special, special watch. But having taken part once before and having been down there a couple of times whilst the marathon's been on, it's a really, really great day to be in the capital. But I'll come back to all of that shortly. As I mentioned there, got plenty to say about it, as well as answer these questions, which people have kindly asked me and got involved. What I will say before we get going, you can see now the link scrolling across the bottom. If you want to get in touch in any shape or form through the social media, through DOdaily, through Do Running, or through Des Oldham, please do, or drop us a comment if you're watching live. I'd really, really appreciate that. There'll be lots for those of a running persuasion to talk about. I'll be encouraging people to answer the questions as well. So if you can contribute, that'd be absolutely amazing. If you're new to the channel, please do subscribe. I'd really, really enjoy that. And of course, if you're watching this episode, do give it a thumbs up. It takes 2 seconds. It's just down there somewhere. I got it right. It's probably the first time I've ever done that in the 3 years I've been doing DOdaily, and it is nearly 3 weeks. Next week, it's nearly 3 years. Next week is 3 years of doing DOdaily, and whilst I've not been quite as consistent recently, for 2.9 of those years, I've been extremely consistent, and I'm looking to get back there. So whilst it's been around a little bit, I'm still just trying to build my own confidence, speak outwardly, talk about some of the things I enjoy and be positive and enthusiastic about the things I do. All this is an honest and relatable take on how I go about things. I enjoy my running, I enjoy my football, I enjoy plenty of other things, and I try and express that, and hopefully when it doesn't quite go so well, encourage a bit of well-being and positive mental health. It's not a big take on that. It's not diving into the technical stuff or the neuroscience behind mental health. So it's nothing to be afraid of. Like I say, it's just a chance, especially on a Thursday, to get involved, drop a few comments, and to support what I'm doing. For the reasons I do it for myself, but there is an element of paying it forward as well and wanting to support others. There's a real drive behind the mental health side without getting into it too deep. There was a friend of mine who came to the running club in the early days who took his own life. So that's the mental health side. But again, it's about what I do on a daily basis and what I get up to. So like I say, if you can get involved tonight, or if you can like, share, subscribe, do whatever you can do with these things, I'd really, really support that. I always start on a Thursday by letting you know how I feel. And of course, over the last few days, and this ties in quite nicely with question 1 from Tom, I've been feeling a little bit fed up. If I'm honest, today I'm still a little bit fed up, probably quite a lot fed up. Another busy day at work, which is okay. I've been sort of accepting those, and when they've come, it's been busy for quite a while now. But my injury, my innocuous kick in the pavement injury, which has given me a sprained ankle in marathon week, is really, really distracting me, if I'm honest. Really sort of at odds with it. Whilst I went to the walking centre this morning and basically got given the all clear. It helps when you go in and the clinician who's triaging the injury is running a marathon themselves at the weekend. So that definitely meant that I can do it if I'm okay to do it. It is a sprain, like I say, it's not a break or a fracture. So I was given that all clear, but the pain is still quite intense. And the more I do on it, and I've not done much in reality, the more it's causing me some grief. So it's getting to me. You know, I've been looking forward to this. I've been honest in the way I've not prepared perfectly, but in recent weeks got real uplift from my training and from the running I've been doing and getting out there and getting the miles in. Do you know, I'd like to have been more, but I felt quietly confident. Do you know, I won't say confident. I won't say I was ready, because I definitely weren't. I definitely weren't perfect, but quietly confident. I might just surprise myself, but any sort of chance of that is probably gone now. I've got every intention of taking part, whilst I wouldn't advocate taking part in these things, you know. And some of this will come out in the questions. If you're injured, if you're not right, you know, this is the big one. This is one I've been waiting for. I am going to take my time and make sure I don't do too much damage. And if I'm not right on Sunday, if I'm not anywhere near sort of capable of doing it, I can't do it. You know, it's as simple as that. I really want to sort of get as much from my running as I can. So any setbacks now are just going to knock me back. It took me a long time to get my head right into gear for this one. So I'm really determined to make sure I do it right from this point forward. I was actually at the coaching session with the guys tonight, and I was showing a lot of determination and a lot of enthusiasm for what I want to do there and how I want to use that to get me back in shape. But sort of beyond all that, the determination's there because I'm a little bit angry. I'm a little bit wound up, you know. So just trying to sort of let you know how I'm feeling with it. I'm almost channeling that anger into sort of being determined, and that's a good thing. You know, that's a positive thing. I'm not taking it out on anybody or showing any sort of rage. You know, I'm just really sort of using it now to make the right choices, to make sure that I don't keep hitting these obstacles. One of the things that might have caused it, whilst I did kick a pavement, you know, I do wonder if a little bit of extra training in the last couple of weeks has affected me. You know, so I've got to make sure I'm physically the best I can going into one of these things, and that's the aim. That's the ultimate aim. I've done 6 marathons now, and I've done 5 and a virtual London Marathon. And I've never felt like I've gone into one in perfect shape. My first couple, I was in a good place, but first one I was ill. Second one I had a bit of a knock to my knee. So it's what happens, you know. Training's hard, and if you're starting from scratch, it can be quite tough. Of course, whilst I don't like to admit, age might be a factor as well. Takes a lot longer to recover as well, doesn't it? So again, it's going to take a lot of work to get to where I need to be, but the foot, it's not perfect. It's still sort of where it was yesterday. Hopefully I can get a lot of rest over the next couple of days and get some ice on it, get it put up. Somebody's kindly sending me some product, some compression sort of sock product, which is supposed to really help for sprains. So yeah, it's not in a great place, and it's not leaving me in a great place. I'm just a bit sort of head's gone with it a little bit, but I'm okay. Like I said, the best thing I can do is channel it all into the positive side of it. Comment here for me. Good evening, Des. Hope you're well. Good luck for the London Marathon on Sunday. Thanks, Eve. I've lost a bit of weight, which I'm really happy about. So you should be. That's what it's all about. Small bits of progress, you know, making sure we get through it. So thanks for watching, Eve. Yeah, just to sort of wrap up on my foot, you know, I've spoken about it all week. I've let you know how I'm feeling. Of course, it's a reflection of where I'm at. So I'm trying to be positive. You know, I'm pretty determined to get out there on the course and show a bit of steely determination and get through, even if there is a little bit of pain, and get the rewards that it brings. The rewards is a trip around London, an amazing experience, a medal, a t-shirt. I could pretend those things aren't important, but this is why we do it. And just that personal satisfaction and knowing you got out there and did it. 26.2 miles is not easy, and as I'll show in some of the further questions, some of the tougher moments. But thanks for that question. Really great to sort of kick off on that theme, and get that out there, get that off my chest, and move on. Question 2: what's your favourite memory of the marathon? There's been a few, to be honest. The first one was really interesting because I went and ran it. I travelled on my own. I ran it, finished, and there was no one there. That shows some sort of commitment to what I was doing. I actually ran it in memory of the friend I told you who took his own life, and who I do a lot of the things I talk a lot about these days, and sort of do a lot of the things I do in memory of. So that was really, really important to get up there, do it on my own. I wasn't in a perfect place. There was a lot of situations that resonated. So it's a memory, perhaps not one of the best ones, but it's shown that I could get out there and do it. Didn't actually pick up the pace till the last few weeks. So made sure I got up there, travelled, and it was a surreal experience. From that point, I started going with other people. Another surreal experience was finishing my second marathon and being told that a friend had a cardiac arrest. It was kind of bittersweet. Obviously, thrilled to do the marathon, but the being told that somebody at the running club back in Nottingham had collapsed, I was like, wow, that was actually my best time as well. So that was another big memory, but a surreal one. I suppose that my best memory is running London and getting to 9 miles. I saw all the guys who'd come down to support. There's a corner where we tend to go at Surrey Quays, where you run up from the Cutty Sark at 10k, and you're running up to 9-10 miles, and you cut off around Surrey Quays. And every year I've been, when I ran it, there's always been a group of people I know at that point. So running up there, seeing all my friends, nearly missed them, but I heard them in the end, and they waved and okay, that was amazing. And then about 100 meters later, I find myself rather bizarrely talking to Chris Evans, about what we was doing. He of course is a big marathon runner, so it's quite nice to see someone famous on the course. That was brilliant. And then, of course, sort of getting around, seeing my friends and Kay elsewhere on the course, and then getting over that finish line at London. That's a surreal experience, running down by the Palace. It looks very short, easy, a nice finish on the television. But I was talking to someone about this last week. That last little bit when you're running around the mile and sort of off Birdcage Walk, it feels like forever, and you're just pleased to get over. So real memories from London. Also done Berlin. That was a great experience running. Found that really tough, although it's supposed to be a fast, flat one. Didn't do a bad time, to be honest, but ran Berlin, finishing under the Brandenburg Gates. Absolutely fantastic experience. The same race as well as Kipchoge. So that's a great sort of feeling. Somebody I really look up to. Think he's actually the greatest sportsman ever. People might sort of think I'm only saying that because of the running. Perhaps I am, but I understand how tough this thing is. And for him to run a marathon under 2 hours, that's absolutely incredible. So some great memories from it. And then there was the one in COVID when I ran the virtual. Again, there's just kind of speaking about where I'm at with my training right now. I wasn't very well trained at that point either. Went out and ran around the streets of Nottingham on my own with my number on and a t-shirt. Lots of people beeping horns saying, "Are you running the London Marathon?" Again, that was a surreal experience. I'd not planned a route. I just took one turn after another out most of Sunday, doing it. But again, it was a brilliant thing to do at that time when we was all sort of struggling for races and to get that connection. So lots of great things to take from it. Not really, apart from seeing the guys at that corner the first time, and finishing at London. Not really a massive standout moment, because it's just about taking it all in, and that's what I want to do on Sunday. I want to really take it in, get my head up, perhaps talk to people on the way round, and really, really enjoy it in that sense. So hopefully I get there, fingers crossed. Thanks for the question. If anybody who's watching has got a favourite marathon memory, I'd love to hear it. I'd love to post it up. I'll be talking more next week about my experience, of course, and where I was at. If you've got any questions about my London Marathon this weekend, now, whether it pans out, whether I do it or don't do it, and the reasons for and against, please post them in. I'd love to get plenty of questions about it next week. And of course, if you've got a favourite marathon moment and you're watching, whether it's live or after the live episode, I'd love you to comment, make a comment about your favourite as well. Or if you've done other runs, what was your favourite ones? I'd love to pick that up. So please do comment. Don't forget to like this episode and don't forget to subscribe. I'd really, really appreciate that. Question 3. Sorry, I lost track of thought there. What's the first thing you think of when you cross the finish line? This is from Phil. I'd love to say it was the beer and the food. And I always like a burger after a marathon, that overindulgence. But it becomes the last thing you want to some degree, It's just that sheer relief of getting over, London, it was about finding my friends, finding Kay and my friends, and it's quite a long walk round to the waiting area where they are. Nobody can get that close to the line. So it's again, that's a little bit surreal, but I think that the thing about crossing is just that sheer relief. I always want to sit down and they keep moving you through and sort of moving you on. Of course, they have to do that, but it is that sheer relief of knowing you've done the distance. And I won't lie to you, it's quite an emotional feeling. It's still emotional now. There was times when I'd never do this, and I always make a quip about being just a fat lad from Bestwood, which some people have often said to me, don't do yourself down, but it's not really a case of that. It's just me realising sort of how far I've come personally from a certain point in my life when I perhaps needed running just to keep myself sane, to the point of doing these things and getting the things from them and meeting the people I have and having people come to see me and sharing the experience and the occasion with people. It's just a fantastic feeling. And putting that medal, we're all looking for that medal, that's straight behind the neck for a week, if not 6. Everybody who wants to see it, everybody who says, oh, I'd like to see your medal, we would quickly whip it out of your pocket. That's just something as marathon runners do. Just telling somebody at work about that today, and he was like, definitely bring it, show me. I said, there won't be any danger of that. So, yeah, it's about getting the medal, but it's that sheer relief of crossing over. Again, if there's people who've run a marathon, please do let me know in the comments what your initial thoughts are, what your feelings are when you cross the line. I tend to get a little bit emotional, realise how far I've come in my own particular journey. I'm not saying I'm doing it any more than others or any less than others, it's just my personal thing. And doing it, that you learn a lot about yourself in one of these things. Again, if I do it and I do it in such a way where I've got to manage it and get through it on Sunday, I'll learn a lot, because it's a lot of time spent with your own thoughts, 4 or 5, however many hours it tends to take you. It's a lot of time spent with your own thoughts. So you tend to learn a lot about yourself. There's a lot of soul searching go off. The games, the mental games, the determination you have to show. It's the relief of all that pressure coming off you at the end of one of these things. So again, if you've got anything to add, please drop it in the comments. I'll remind you again, please like this episode and please do subscribe if you're new. And the final question for tonight, I'm doing my first ever marathon on Sunday. I'm not sure who this is from. What are your 3 top tips? Well, it's a bit late for tips now, but for race day, if that's what you mean, I think the clinician I mentioned at the top of the episode who looked at my foot today told me she was doing her first marathon, and she asked me what my top tip was. And I think my biggest one is just to understand it's really, really going to be hard. And I know that goes without saying. I don't want to teach anybody to suck eggs, so to speak, but I think if you accept a little bit, it's going to be hard. When it does get hard, it's just a case of working your way through it. I think if you go out there and try and absolute blitz it, which I've done, my first one, trying to run on a little bit of illness, and then when it gets really hard, it slows you up, and then all the real doubts come in, that whether as to whether you can finish. If you kind of go out there like I am, not expecting a great deal because of the not so perfect training, because of the injury, it's almost a case of putting one foot in the other and getting through it. And when you realise you're going to do it, you can do it, because we always do these things. That's the tip I'm sort of giving out there. That's the top tip. It's just to almost accept it's going to be tough, and when you accept it, it's almost like bring it on, bring on the challenge, and I'm going to get through this. And you convince yourself you're going to get through it, rather than convince yourself you won't. Of course, all the usual things as well. A good night's sleep would be great. Don't think I've ever had a good night's sleep before one, because you spend all night worrying about how far it is. But again, you've got to try and put that to your back of your mind. I think one tip I'd like to give for the London Marathon is, because of the way you tend to travel to it, and which pen you're in, is just take a few minutes before the race. It really helped me. Again, another emotional moment before my first London Marathon, realising how far I'd come to get to the start line. You've got a long way to get to the finish on top of that. But I had a moment at the top of Greenwich Hill, and sort of looked out, did a bit of social media posts, as I tend to do, and just sort of summed it all up, the way I was feeling. And then it was a case of dusting myself down from that emotion, and just sort of just pushing on, just pushing on through it, getting it done, and then sort of enjoying it all from there again. So I took a moment on my own, despite that I'd gone down for the weekend with friends. We'd spent time sort of socialising. I'd done one or two things. But when I got on that train at Cannon Street and got on for however many stops it is, 5 or 6 stops down to Greenwich, and walked up the hill, that was a bit of time on my own. And then, of course, you get all that celebration afterwards, where everybody's absolutely amazed with what you've done, what they've done, and what other people have done. And it's a great experience. So for me, it's just about taking a few minutes, trying to get away from everything and everyone, because everybody's got the best tips and ideas and words of encouragement. It's all fantastic, don't get me wrong, but it's good to be alone with your own thought as well. Ian says here, talk to as many other people that are doing the London Marathon as you can. Totally agree with that, but like I say, I do like to take a few minutes just to sort of get away from it all and just collect my thoughts. And there's a lot of nerves, so if you can just sort of calm those, like I say, not worry too much about how far it is, realise that you are going to do it regardless of what's in front of you. Prove you've got that determination, and you'll be just fine. And they're my tips really with it. All the others, of course, if we was talking a few weeks ago, train well, eat well, it depends, doesn't it? There was a point a couple of weeks ago where it says I wasn't going to drinking, but then I thought, well, I'm not going for a record, I'm not going for this, so why should I not why should I, that's the wrong word, that sounds arrogant, but was there any point going really hard on certain things? Because I'm not going for a record time, I'm not going for a PB. I know it's going to be the way it's going to be, so why try and fix it all at once? That's something that can be done in time when I get to my next marathon, and that's not just putting it off. It's just a case of, why should I sort of stress myself out in the meantime? So again, there's different ways of approaching these things. I've seen one or two people who've trained this year who've been absolutely brilliant, really worked to a plan, been absolutely spot on. Can only admire that. I'm not great at sticking to training plans, because if I miss one, I tend to fall to pieces with it. So again, there's just different ways of going about it. Everybody's got their own ideas. So like Ian says, listen to as many as you can. but also take that little bit of time for yourself. And then the questions, guys, like I say, lots of opinion there around the London Marathon, lots of thoughts on how I've gone about it, how I've enjoyed it, what I've done. If you've got anything to add, I'd love it if you comment. Like I say, if you can comment now or after this episode goes out live, that'd be absolutely fantastic. It would support the channel as well. If you've got any questions, particularly about my marathon experience or what's happened this weekend, what I've taken from it, what I enjoyed, all about absolutely anything else, about what's going on in the world, about the way I'm feeling. You know, hopefully I'm going to be feeling a lot better in the next couple of days, physically with my foot, but also as that improves, start looking forward to this a little bit more again and really getting my mind in the place it should be to tackle one. So if you've got anything, please email des@dorunning.org.uk. Contact me via any of the social media, comment on any of the videos throughout the week. Do check back on my progress this week and where I've kind of been with this injury. It does make sense. You know, all I'm trying to be is somebody who's living a real life, trying to pass it on and pass on my thoughts on. And like I say, how I cope with the ups and downs of it. And this week, it's not been great. You know, it's not been horrendous. These things happen. You know, it can be stressful. If I'd gone to the urgent care centre this morning and been told I couldn't do it, a flat no, then I'd have been absolutely devastated right now. But there's still a chance, you know, and sometimes when we've got chance, well, when there's a chance, we've got hope. And when we've got hope, we've got to be positive, haven't we? So that's where I'm at. Of course, I'll be back in the morning to round it all up. Hopefully I can report a good night's sleep and foot feeling a bit better and whatever it takes. I'm not sure I'll be walking too far. I might find somewhere outside just to sit down and film an episode. That'll be a nice way to do it for a change, I guess. So wake up to walk, summing up the week, you know, where I've been. I've kind of done that already. Hopefully I'm feeling a lot better. Whilst it might not be coming across that I'm feeling really angsty, you know, it's definitely the place I'm at. So trying to be as positive as I can, still got a smile on my face, still going about the thing that I have to do, because things don't stop for something like this, do they? But things quickly change. I just think back to this time last week, feeling absolutely brilliant about where I was, and now it's just different. But I can't let it get to me too much. I've got to keep pushing on, keep showing the determination, and hopefully that'll drag me all the way through the weekend and across that finish line in London. So until wake up to walk, have a fantastic evening. I'll speak to you again. Then it'll be on sometime tomorrow night, and then it's down to London for the big one. Just doing it.